The camera on this phone can physically change its aperture. No iPhone has ever done that, not once in 17 years of iPhone history. And if that sounds like a spec nobody cares about, I thought the same thing until I actually understood what it means for every photo you take from this point forward. This is the iPhone 18 Pro Max. And there is one thing about this phone that every single review I've seen has gotten completely wrong. We'll get to it. But first, let me show you why 2026 is actually different. So here's where we are. The iPhone 18 Pro Max hasn't launched yet. We're in the final weeks before September 2026. But here's the thing about this cycle, the leaks are unusually clean. Multiple sources, months of corroboration, supply chain reports, all pointing in the same direction. So what I'm giving you today isn't speculation dressed up as news. It's the clearest picture of this phone that exists right now. And there's more than enough here to decide if this phone is worth your money or worth waiting for. Three things are driving everything this year: a 2 nanometer chip, Apple's first ever, a battery that might genuinely change how you live with your phone, and that camera. Let's go. Every year, Apple says the new chip is faster. Every year you think, okay, but my current phone is already fast enough. And honestly, you're not wrong. The A19 chip in last year's Pro Max is already fast. So let me tell you what actually changes when you drop from 3 nanometers to 2 nanometers, because it's not about raw speed. The A20 Pro chip is expected to deliver roughly 15% faster performance than its predecessor. 15%, that's the headline number. But the real story is what happens underneath that number. The same chip doing more work while burning less energy. Performance and efficiency moving together in the same direction for the first time in years. And that matters because efficiency feeds directly into two things you actually care about: battery life and AI. The A20 Pro is expected to support 6-channel memory, delivering greater bandwidth, enabling smoother multitasking, and powering more advanced Apple Intelligence features in real time. Not a few seconds of processing, real time. So Siri, photo editing, on-device AI, all of it runs before you've even finished asking for it. Here's the honest way to think about this chip. You won't feel it on day one. You will feel it on month 6, when your phone still feels exactly like it did the day you unboxed it. That's what a genuinely efficient chip actually delivers. Not the demo, the long game. Okay, the part I've been most focused on, the iPhone 18 Pro Max, is expected to carry a 5,100 to 5,200 milliamp hour battery, the largest battery ever put inside an iPhone. The iPhone 17 Pro Max launched with 4,685 milliamp hours. That gap is not small. We're talking about a meaningful physical upgrade. Not Apple's usual "we improved efficiency so it feels like more battery" language. An actual larger cell. That difference could translate to up to 40 hours on a single charge, 40 hours on a phone. And before you think, okay, but these numbers never hold up in real life, this time there are three separate things working together: bigger battery, more efficient 2 nanometer chip, and Apple's new in-house C2 modem, built specifically to reduce the battery drain from 5G connectivity. 5G has always been a silent battery killer. Connecting to a 5G tower burns significantly more power than 4G. Most people don't realize this is why their phone dies faster in cities. The C2 modem directly targets that drain at the hardware level. So the battery improvement isn't coming from one place, it's coming from three places simultaneously: a bigger tank, an engine that sips fuel, and a fuel leak that's finally been fixed. That's not an incremental upgrade, that's a rethink. All right, this is the one, the variable aperture camera. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is expected to be the first iPhone ever to feature a variable aperture main camera lens. Most coverage of this mentions it and moves on. That's a mistake, because this is not a software feature. This is not Apple Intelligence processing your photo after the fact. This is the lens I'm physically opening and closing to control exactly how much light reaches the sensor, the same way your eye adjusts when you walk from a dark room into sunlight. Hardware control over depth of field and low light performance. Instead of software guessing what you wanted after the fact, think about the last time you took a photo in bright sunlight and the whites were completely blown out, or tried to shoot a portrait in a dim restaurant and the background looked like noise. That's what this fixes at the hardware level, not in post, not with a filter, not with an AI interpretation of what your photo should look like. The camera is physically doing the work. A variable aperture would let users manually adjust how much light reaches the sensor, cutting down on overexposure and giving real customization over lighting and depth of field. That's new. That's genuinely new for iPhone. And here's the part nobody is saying out loud. Samsung has had variable aperture cameras. Huawei has had them. Some mid-range manufacturers have shipped them for years. Apple, characteristically, held back until they believed they could do it right. Whether they actually did is the question, and I will have an answer the day this phone is in my hands. So where does the Pixel 11 Pro XL fit? Because this is the comparison that actually matters in 2026. Both phones are dropping this fall. Both are running 2 nanometer chips. The Pixel 11 Pro XL will come with Google's Tensor G6, also built on a 2 nanometer manufacturing process. Same note, completely different philosophy. Google's Tensor chips have always been built around AI processing, not raw benchmark dominance. Apple traditionally leads in performance, headroom, and ecosystem depth. Google pushes forward on AI capabilities, and apparently this year, product design decisions that are going to raise some eyebrows. The Pixel 11 Pro XL is expected to feature a light-up LED bar around the rear camera module. I want to be fair here. I read that. I sat with it. I genuinely considered whether there was a practical use case I was missing, and then I thought about it for another 30 seconds, and I still don't fully understand it. But apparently people want it, and honestly, people wanted a notch once too. So on displays, the iPhone 18 Pro Max is expected to carry a 6.9-inch liquid retina XDR with ProMotion and peak brightness likely clearing 3000 nits. The Pixel 11 Pro XL lands at 6.8 inches, OLED 120 Hz, also pushing past 3000 nits, effectively a tie. Biometrics, Face ID on the iPhone in-screen, ultrasonic fingerprint sensor on the Pixel. If you've ever had to unlock your phone with a face mask on, you already know which one you prefer. Charging, the Pixel is expected to reach 45 watts wired. The iPhone sits around 40 watts. Google wins on charging speed. Apple wins on raw performance. Camera, the iPhone's variable aperture and triple 48 megapixel sensors give it a hardware advantage Apple hasn't had in the camera category before. But Google's computational photography has been making iPhone camera teams uncomfortable for years in specific scenarios. That battle is genuinely too close to call on paper. Real-world testing will settle it. And I'll have both phones. Quick design update before we get to money. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is expected to look similar to the 17 Pro Max overall, but with one refinement that's more noticeable than it sounds. Apple has reportedly updated the back glass to minimize the visual difference between the glass and the aluminum frame, creating a more unified, seamless appearance. Less of the two-tone contrast you saw on the 17 Pro models. More like one object instead of two materials sitting next to each other. On color, a new shade called a dark cherry is joining the lineup for the 18 Pro. Deep wine-toned red with a purple undertone. That's the one, if you know, you know. And the dynamic island, current reports suggest it could shrink by as much as 40%. I'll be honest, I've seen smaller dynamic island rumors before every Pro launch for 2 years, and the dynamic island shipped the same size every time. So believe it when you see it. Don't say I didn't warn you. Multiple analysts, including Ming Chi Kuo, Do not expect Apple to raise prices on the iPhone 18 Pro models. The current expectation is that the iPhone 18 Pro Max starts at or very close to $1,199, Apple absorbing added production costs rather than passing them to consumers, which sounds generous until you hear the other thing Apple is doing this year. In September 2026, Apple is only releasing the iPhone 18 Pro, the 18 Pro Max, the new foldable iPhone, and potentially an updated iPhone Air. The base model iPhone 18 is being pushed to spring 2027, which means every iPhone releasing this fall has a price tag of $999 or higher. If you were hoping for a standard iPhone 18 at a standard price this fall, you are waiting 6 more months. That is a business decision dressed very carefully as a product strategy. So, should you buy the iPhone 18 Pro Max? Here's my honest take. If you are on an iPhone 15 Pro Max or older, yes, the 2 nanometer chip, the battery rethink, and a camera with genuine new hardware capability, this is the strongest upgrade argument for Pro Max in 3 years. You will feel the difference. If you are on the iPhone 17 Pro Max harder sell, the camera is meaningfully new, the battery is bigger. But unless photography is your primary use case, you are spending $1,199 to feel roughly the same in daily life. And if you are in the Android camp or seriously considering the Pixel 11 Pro XL, that phone is going to be genuinely competitive this year. Better charging speed, strong AI camera processing, and the LED bar on the back, which again, not for me, but apparently there's a market. The variable aperture camera is the wild card that changes this entire conversation. If Apple's implementation is real, if the hardware control actually delivers what it promises and not just a marketing slide, this phone wins the year. If it ships half-baked at launch, the Pixel might be the smarter buy for the first time in a long time. September will answer everything. I will be there on day one. And here's what I genuinely want to know from you. Does the camera lens mechanics actually change your decision? Or is battery life still the thing that makes or breaks a phone for most people? Drop it in the comments. Because when I do the full hands-on in September, I want to test what actually matters to the people watching this, not what the spec sheet says should matter.